Afternoon, folks. It's Dr. Terry and Tom, and we're here with the Metaphysical Mysteries, and we have the pleasure of meeting other podcasters in the psychic field. And we have with us today Lisa Hazard and
No, Lisa Rusczyk. Lisa Hazard's my old name. I got divorced.
Okay, cool. Forget that. What she said.
Rusczyk.
Got it.
Rusczyk. Yeah.
Rusczyk. And Misty Lohr.
Yes.
So there we go. We're going to get started here in just a second. Do you want to do an intro also?
Yes. Okay. Hello, this is Lisa Rusczyk and Misty Lohr with the podcast We Are All Psychic. And today we have two amazing guests. They are both podcasters as well, and they do mysterious things. Would you guys like to say hello, Terry and Tom?
Dr. Terry Trueblood.
And Tom?
And I'm Tom Greenhalgh from Massachusetts. How you all doing today?
We're doing great and welcome. And we have questions for you. Misty, do you want to ask Terry and I'll ask Tom and we can ask them at the same time?
Sure.
1, 2, 3. Tom, do you think we're all psychic?
Psychic?
Absolutely. I think everyone has that innate ability. It's whether or not they develop it and listen to it.
Very cool. What about you, Terry?
No question about it.
Absolutely. No question about it. So how did you guys get to that conclusion?
Well, for me,
was it work? I mean, does it take a long time? Did you always feel that way when you were younger, or did you just kind of slowly build into it?
I think what people see when they first start into the metaphysical field is they get an opportunity to see people who are really good at it. And when they see people that are good at it, it intrigues them. So they study and they look and they ask questions, watch videos, whatever the case may be. And as they dive deeper, inevitably, they're going to come across data that shows that other people can do it. And if they try some of it themselves, either by having a little class, reading a book and attempting it, some of the basic stuff, they'll go, I think I can actually do this, or watching their friends, attempt to do the same thing.
Yeah, good thoughts there. Seeing someone else do it really makes a difference. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have, how about you, Tom? Have you always thought that way, or?
From my younger days, I had this sense of knowing about certain things.
No. We call that no. Misty came up with that. know it.
Really get dialed in working in EMS. You'd be on the ambulance and you'd go, people would be panicking, thinking we had a rush, and be like, no, we're good. We got plenty of time.
You just knew.
Chilling out and be like, no, let's get moving. And you just knew. It was a weird sensation. You just had to learn how to trust it.
Oh, I bet.
Beautiful.
That's a good way to use your instincts.
Definitely. Yeah, helping people in a big way.
Yeah, on a field like that, definitely. Yeah.
So listeners, this is going to be and watchers, this is a video podcast on Spotify. At this moment, we are going to say, close your eyes. A big thing is about to happen. Close your eyes. Okay. Now we can do the podcast. Our joint podcast, if you want.
Perfect.
Right.
Well, you guys started a while back, and what have you seen that's been interesting to you as you go do your podcast?
Oh gosh, everything, Misty. I don't know. We have had a lot of weird things happen, right, Misty? Remember, especially in the first year or two, a lot of weird. Of course, how would you expect? Now, as we did, we've been in this podcast for 3 years, and it's kind of maybe over 3 years now. But that crazy stuff has kind of calmed down, like the weird stuff in the audio, the things, nothing working, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the fun. That was really cool. And it was like, I don't know why it happened in the beginning so much for the first year or two. And then it's just kind of stopped and we don't really have that problem anymore.
I think it's because we know what we're doing now.
Yeah.
I think that before we didn't, and I think we're trying to stop it, because this is what we were meant to do. We were meant to do the podcast, and we were meant to teach people, and we were meant to learn from people. It's just, that's all I can say, is it was meant to be.
That's what it feels like. And we actually talked about destiny and free will in a podcast recently.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of an interesting topic. We haven't, we dug around in it, and I don't think we got anywhere with it, especially we don't know, of course. There's no manual guide that says, yes, you have free will. Yes, you have that. So we kind of got to the conclusion in that podcast where the destiny is kind of where the soul is headed, or what you're trying to mature or learn about in life. And so let's say, my example in that podcast was love. Finding out how to have a healthy romantic relationship is one of the destinies I'm here for. But I can do it any kind of way. you know? So that would be the free will. The free will will get me to my destiny is kind of what we got to in that podcast. So that's kind of where what do you guys think about that?
I don't know. I get downloads, high
Yeah.
end downloads, and I write them down. And I did get one on destiny. I'll have to paraphrase it because I don't have it here in front of me because they're very almost Shakespearean language, if you will. But it basically talked about destiny is what you pre-planned for yourself to do. And there's key markers that you really want to achieve, but the free will decides whether you get from marker to marker.
Okay, yeah.
So
I like that.
Yeah.
That's really how it laid out. And that's what I was told from the other side.
Okay.
So I think I follow that pattern. We do have free will, but there are markers that we really.
Is that like that?
So.
My guides have explained that's what deja vu is like when we're syncing up exactly with something we planned.
Yeah,
if
you feel like you've been there before, it's something, it's almost like being prior to coming into life, of course, reincarnation is a real deal. So prior to coming into life, you made those things. And so it's like being in a movie theater where you see the previews. And so when you actually watch the movie, you go, oh yeah, I know what that is because you saw part of it in the preview. So the preview is done on the other side. When you come in and you incarnate, you live it out. And then eventually, if you're doing right, you're gonna see those spots. So that's a marker for me that you're doing well.
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That's how it works. So yeah, and I guess what do you guys do for a regular living?
Job. What's your job, Misty?
I work in an office and we build playground equipment for little kids. That's what I do.
And she is very good at it. I've been trying to get her. I'm a professional psychic reader and jeweler. I've been trying to get Misty to come be professional psychic with me, but she says a little longer. She wants a little more time. She can wait on it. But I'm opening an office with another psychic friend, or who's a professional psychic friend, works in the field. Like today. Today I was there. We're setting it up, and it's going to open at March 1st.
So when you do your psychic readings, are you doing those in person? You do them over the Zoom or phone, or what's your normal gig?
Ooh, every which way. I work for a platform called Everclear, and Everclear is the sponsor of our podcast. And they don't allow mediumship. So I do mediumship on my own. I have a website. We have a website, www.we'reallpsychic.com. And you can get our services.
Point out while you're talking, just for the viewers, every medium is a psychic.
Yes,
not every psychic is a medium.
Yes, that is so true. Yes.
Mediums are talking to somebody on the other side. Simple.
I don't know. I kind of think we all can do mediumship.
Yeah, I know. And psychics are reading energy for the most energetic field. And so that's the way I teach it. Can everybody do mediumship? Well,
I think so.
Some say yes, some say no.
Everybody has had visits from dead loved ones.
The ability to practice. You're just getting into the energy field. So
yeah, and the spirits are in an energy field too.
Yep.
But for me, have you ever done, either of you experienced spirits other than evil ones?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
So the feelings they give you, and like someone dies, and maybe you don't ever have any medium experiences, or you think you don't. If someone close to you dies, you'll see like whatever, they come and they give you signs and gestures and stuff like that. You can notice them or not. But they are an energy to me. Like when I see them with my eyes, it's very rare. I usually see them in my mind's eye. I guess you guys probably the same way, but occasionally I will see them with my eyes, and they move strangely. Like they're out of time, but they come into our time or into our gym. And I don't know what they're doing, but sometimes I see them and they're always like, they move weird. It's surprising.
I tell people that there is basically two kinds of dead folks. There's the people that die, and about 85% that go through the light. And then the other 15% that don't, for a number of reasons. One, they want to communicate or they want to do something, but they're basically earthbound. There's the ones that go bump in the night. Ghosts, what we would call ghosts.
Yeah.
And so if you're getting good quality data from somebody, it's somebody who's went through the light and still wants to communicate with you. But if you're getting things that go bump in the night and it's a negative experience, it's somebody who hasn't crossed over. And so the longer they stay away from crossing over, the more lost they get and the more troublesome they become. So
why don't you think they cross over?
Well, honestly, I believe that they have either religious beliefs, some kind of social conditioning to believe that they're going to go to hell, and they don't want to cross over, or they have some communication that they really want to get to a loved one before they go. Sometimes they just want to wait for another.
Some of them are lost.
Yeah, some of them want
Some are
to. Yeah,
lost.
and what they look like, I call them they're in the gray. So the gray are the people that do have the blinders on like this, and they're looking like this. They never actually look up. You have to tell them to look up if you want to move them across. They've got to see their light, and they got to be able to go there. And you can have them say a few words to get there, but really it's as quick as thought if they really want to go.
You have to want to.
Sometimes you have to have escorts come and assist them.
Yeah.
So it's
Like
fun.
guards, like police officers.
I would call them something like that.
Listeners, they are
Just
on our end.
maybe a little
Listeners, they
more on
are
the angelic
like
realm.
police officers.
So yeah, it's fun stuff, no question about
It
it.
is, yeah.
And I
Yeah,
think-
yeah, you guys have gotten into some of the more scarier stuff that when we talked before the podcast, especially I don't go looking for it. It does happen sometimes.
yeah.
But what do you do about those more? I mean, listeners, he was
Well-
telling us that on our end, he was telling us before Tom joined us about an exorcism he performed, and it was just fascinating. You probably talked about it on your podcast, I'm sure. But we
I don't
we
talk
haven't
about
had
them too
stories
much.
like
I really don't talk about them.
Really?
I just do them, and I don't really. I just
Okay,
do them.
yeah. Well, I
But
mean, what do you say? You know,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
kinda-
some people love it. They think it's really cool, and other people are scared out of their minds because they've really been socially conditioned to believe in the how should I say it, the classic exorcism movie style thing.
Right.
Reagan.
And that's not really the good how that really
Yeah.
works.
And that's
Well,
why I kind of wanted to do the podcast on that. I want people to know what really does happen in a
Well-
real life exorcism.
A very quick one, and I told you, before that you kind of get a little bit of a reputation if you've done these. So the folks on the other side know you're coming. And one really cool example that I had a woman call me who I've known for a long time, and she texted me, says, "Terry, I need you to call me right away. I've got a problem." And I immediately knew what it was. But I was on the phone with another woman from another city with the same problem, same exact issue we were working. And so I got done with that phone call, and then she'd already said, "You can disregard." I started laughing because I knew what had happened. So I called her and I said, "So what was going on?" She goes, "Well, I came home and my chandelier above my table, like dining room table, was swinging 8 or 9 inches back and forth for 45 minutes. I was telling her to get out of here. You can't be here, blah, 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 the stuff you're supposed to say." And I started laughing and I said,
Yeah.
"So when did it stop?" And she goes, "When I hit send." And it went boom, stop, dead.
And then
that
you're
was
like,
it.
"You're welcome. Thank
You
you."
know what? I have to ask you something, Terry and Tom. What do you guys think about the higher self? Because it may be your higher self doing it. Is that a possibility too? And with maybe with some help?
Yeah, I mean, it's a total
Yeah.
production from stem to stern. You don't run alone.
Yeah.
You're never
Yeah.
alone. So yeah, no question about that.
Well, so who do you call upon when you go into these exorcists?
Who I
Exorcisms?
call upon?
Yeah.
Well, first, let me say what I call upon doesn't really matter. It's the belief system that you have. So if you're
Right.
a
I
very
agree. Yeah.
structured Hindu or Buddhist or Christian or whatever you happen to be,
Whatever God you
you
believe
call on
in,
those
yeah.
architects, and archetypes. I'm sorry, architects. Archetypes.
Well, they kind of are
Yeah,
architects.
they
Call
kind
on
of
the
are in a
architects.
way. Yeah.
You can build something.
Yeah, we build
call
a
on them.
mansion.
But
Build
it's really about
skyscraper.
your focusing your attention and your own energy. I mean, we're all little sparks of God. So
Right.
if you realize the power that you have and what you have access to, how
Mhm.
you access it is completely up to you.
Yes.
It just usually comes from what you've been socially conditioned to believe from a little child.
Right.
And you may not even believe it anymore, but that's how you were trained.
Still,
And so you
yeah.
tend to go back to that.
That's how your mind-
I don't think I would go in and call on Krishna, and I didn't grow up in the Hindu, I didn't grow up that way. So, I'm going to call typically on what I was taught when I was little, but do I believe that's the limit? No, you can do it in many different ways.
However it works, right? Whatever works.
Yep. There's a lot of ways.
So
to
when
do
these
it.
people let's say this woman who texted you, she hit send and it stopped.
Yep.
And you and your team came in and just, well, what was so different that she couldn't? She didn't have the right
Well, there's a couple
or-
of things that I
Right?
have found, and this will sound somewhat sexist, but I don't want it to be. It's just what I've been told from the other side. Okay. That in a household, the man is who they come to first, meaning if you have bad things, they're supposed to go through him. That's
So he lets them in. The man lets them in.
He's the protector. He is supposed to be there. And in her particular case, she was divorced. And I said, so you need to step up and lay claim to your house. You're head of household.
Yeah.
And they will come to you then. That's how
He needs to name her house.
But be prepared for that to happen. And so we had done a ceremony maybe a month before that, just a real brief thing, where she laid claim to her house and everything had to come through her. It wasn't going to take her kids or any of that kind of stuff. It was going to be her. And so it did.
What happened?
And you heard what happened.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I thought that like happened after that. I was like,
no,
"Whoa."
we eventually came over and I did a removal of a deceased family member who was not crossed over yet, and it was part and parcel to the problem. And we actually saw the angelics put an arm under each arm, and
Oh, that's so
great.
cool.
it is cool.
I love my angels.
I
Yeah.
love angels too. What kind of
They
angel
are my
experiences have
thing.
you
They're
guys
my
had?
go-to. I love
I'm
my
curious. What kind of angel experiences have you guys had? We've had a lot, but I want to hear about y'all's.
Tommy, you want to talk about that?
I just had one last week. I was working with someone and he had some severe traumas from many years prior. And I asked him to call to his higher power. And I looked over his shoulder and I could see the Jesus energy form. And about 5 minutes later, he goes, "Yeah, I called Jesus." I go, "Okay." So
Oh, I love that.
and at the end
Love
of it, I said, "Thank whoever you brought down to help you." And so he's rattling off names. And I said, "In St. Anthony, correct?" And he goes, "How the hell did you know that? That's a family secret. No one knows about that." I go, "Well, I was just told that. He was here." Stuff happened.
he
Love it.
found you. You're a lost cause and he
Can't
found you.
keep secrets.
That
I love that.
is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Love it.
anytime I'm in a bind, I love my angels.
Yeah. I was raised Catholic. I don't know about you guys. Misty, I know about you. What kind of religious backgrounds do you guys have? If your spiritual backgrounds from your childhood?
Go ahead, Tom.
I was raised Episcopal.
Okay. And what about you, Terry? Any background?
Oh, sure, lots of it.
No, lots all the religions. So yeah, Episcopal. I think is it
I would be the classic WASP.
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 Is Episcopal? Isn't that close to Catholicism? Am I thinking of the right religion or Episcopalian or?
Catholic friends call it Catholic light.
That's what I thought. Okay, yeah, that's what I used to work in a Catholic. I went to Catholic school, but then did not follow Catholicism. I did go to church or mass a couple times in college, but when I lived in Phoenix for 7 years, I ran sound in churches, mainly a Catholic church that held 7,500 people, and then I moved to a Methodist church that held about 2,000 people. So it was really interesting to be in a working side of a religious organization because it's not what you expect, well, maybe it is for some people, but I just didn't expect them to make my job about religion because the first thing I said to them before they hired me is I am not Catholic anymore. I don't do the Catholic things. I don't, and I will not. So if you ask me to, I will not, and I will quit. And they never did stop asking for me to do those things. So I quit after a year and a half. And then they made me work another 3 months saying they couldn't find anybody, but I just walked out finally, had to leave. Because I mean, they shouldn't, it was a job. They shouldn't tell me, I threatened my job basically without saying so. If I don't genuflect every time I cross the altar, well, I mean, to get to the sound stage, I cross the altar 6 times a mass, and there's like 8 masses a day. I'm like, and I'm not Catholic. And that wasn't the only thing. They wanted me to tithe my paychecks and stuff like that. And I just, it's not work. It's work to me. And it was, and I just think that's kind of strange, the money and the religion put together thing, because the money, if there is any money put into it, a religious organization, it seems like it should go to the people who need to eat, and need hospital bills paid and stuff like that.
You would think.
You would think, but instead there's these huge statues. They are beautiful, but get those donated.
You're paying for them.
Yeah, get them donated. People would want to do that. So,
Well, my number one client that I have with problems, and this is maybe a reflection of where I live, but the number one client is white, female, over 40, who's Catholic or recovering Catholic.
I believe it.
Covering.
And the number 2 is Pentecostal, and the number 3 Southern Baptist, and that's been consistent for years.
I believe that.
I
Yeah.
believe
And
On
you
our
can
podcast, we've
imagine-
had mainly Catholics. Yeah.
I mean,
Rip.
it's a control
Recovery.
mechanism that people have, and it puts a hell of a lot of guilt on people for
It does.
no good reason. And it's a
It makes you
control-
afraid of God.
Sure.
And
And
God, I don't know God personally. Maybe I do. Some part of me knows God. I think so.
I
You know what I
know.
mean? As well, but my brain can't comprehend God. But I wouldn't think that I would want to have a God who would want to scare me. You know,
think there's
I wouldn't
such
praise
thing
him.
as God
I
that
wouldn't
would
want to
fear you.
pray to him and
There's
ask him
such
for help.
thing. Yeah, they just put
Yeah,
that
it doesn't
in
make
your head.
sense. The God would fear and make us afraid of him. Although, like the old Bible, Old Testament, if you follow Bibles and their truth, then he was pretty wrathful in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
The God.
Well,
But,
just keep in
changed
mind
his
that the Bible is, of course, is a compilation of
Handwritten.
many books, and it wasn't
Rewritten.
it
Yeah.
wasn't really put together until 300-400 AD with the Council of Nicaea, and that's where they brought in the quote what we would call bishops, and they did it for the Constantine, the emperor, and he wanted one text, and so they sit there for years. This is in, this is out, this is in,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
until it was
know.
finally compiled in somewhat of a chronological order that they currently call the Bible. However,
Yep.
translations were problems, not understanding the Greek to Arabic. There's a variety of issues that come up, and those have been revealed in recent times.
And even just your regular dude saying, I want to, or priest saying, I don't like that. Women don't need that much power.
Yeah, that came back. There was, prior to that formality, there was a lot of women priestesses
Mhm.
that were out there, and that was quashed and
Yes.
over the course of time. And so we're all souls. We come in, and I think the world would get along a whole lot better if they knew they came in as a male, as a female, as black, white, yellow, red, brown. We have all been all of those things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I totally agree.
Jesus said, masters treat your slaves well, slaves treat your masters well. The reason he
Right.
told that was because you're going to reincarnate. Next time you will be
Yes.
instead of the master, etc.
I totally agree with that. Yes. Thank you. Thank you
And
very
that's
much.
the reason that stuff exists. But until you learn the metaphysical reasons of biblical writing, it looks like you can't understand it. And I always said to my folks, listen, you absolutely have to believe and understand reincarnation before you're going to get into any higher level of consciousness. If you read
Yep.
the Bible without understanding reincarnation, it is a bunch of gibbledygook, and it doesn't make sense, and it doesn't,
It never will.
and when you say an eye for an eye, that doesn't mean a physical eye for a physical eye. It's talking about you will be in
Karma.
a lifetime where you're going to experience something
Mhm.
similar to balance that karma out. And Jesus, he was the one that showed us how to release from the wheel of karma.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, when it says, slapping on the cheek is karma, turning the other one and slapping that's grace.
I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's release both out, shall we? And then we can move on, because the higher
Yeah.
levels require that.
I guess there's just a lot of angry people out there who feel
Mhm.
unfulfilled or crazy. But I mean, I think at the root of meanness probably is a lot of insecurity and fear.
It's fear.
And
'Cause
fear, fear.
on this side of the veil, there's fear and love. On the other side, there's only love. So
Yeah.
you can't, here is a plane of contrasts, meaning salt, pepper, sweet, sour, hot, cold. When you add a series of contrasts, that's how you learn, and you learn very quickly. Because while we're in these bag of bones that we're currently hold ourselves, that's a very short period of time. We think of it as linear time, but as they say in the Bible, it's Alpha and Omega, and there is no set time. When you go to the other side, there is no time. You can see all those lives at once, and
Mhm.
it's a very simple system. We are the ones that make it very complex, because we're full of these insecurities, fears, so on and so forth, and we believe what we were taught by our demigods. And who are your demigods? Your mom, dad, preachers, teachers, aunts, uncles, anybody in apparent authority over you as a child. And they're not supposed to lie to you. You just came from the other side where nobody lied. And now you're a baby, you're 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, and people are lying to you. They're saying stuff that's hurtful, and you never haven't, it's been a long time since you experienced that. And you
Mhm.
believe it, and then you take it on as your own, part of your own filter of life. And that's not the case. So we got a special program we use to remove that from your filter system.
That's interesting.
And
But it's
It'd be
very-
so cool. It'd be so cool if people like, I don't know if that's what you do, but take someone who's in their 20s, 30s, 40s. I know, like I'm thinking like younger, like 20s or 30s, and see where they have programming. Show them, like not programming, but why do you believe that? Because I was told. Get them to say I was told or I don't know. And then what are you going to do about it? You know, that's kind of like especially young women and young men in their 20s. Men have it rough in their 20s now because they have to have everything. It seems like they don't have to, but they're expected to. You know, I have two young boys, or not young boys. I have two young men, sons, and they're challenged by that. And one of them takes it a lot harder than the other one, you know, as far as the duty and have tos, and you know, his soul is crushed by work. But I mean, it's just I think they have a lot of pressure, and I feel like if at that age, maybe, because I'm looking like I think I told you before the podcast, I'm opening up an office with a friend in town to do readings and stuff like that. And I'm hoping to help some of the younger people like realize, especially the ones who had not bad parents, but maybe absent parents or parents who lied a lot, like you said. And they seem to be all alone in the world. I know a lot of them around here, especially women, but now, of course, through my young men, other young men. And they just have no real guidance. They don't have much hope for the future, you know.
I get it. We do it all the time.
Our generation never had a chance to come in there and do anything like legally, you know. We got wiped out, right, Misty? And so, you know, we just kind of like, well, are they ever going to let any of us in? Probably not. But I think, you know, that's probably why the younger generations in the 20s and teens, they don't know, because like what they were taught from people my age in their 40s and 30s, 40s, 50s. That's our generation's interests and in important things that we believe in, but we never got a chance to implement it into our society because the baby boomers won't stop making the laws, you know, they won't let us in. So I don't know. It's like, I think that might be one reason why they have a lot of pressure on them. They're listening to their great grandparents' generation, you know, and what they say to do, and everything's totally different. I understand if we didn't have an internet, maybe those values would still work, you know, but it's a lot different now. You can know anything, or at least have an idea about something in a minute, you know.
You can research anything.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, those are the things we do every day, both of us. We're constantly in that counseling type mode, consulting type mode, seeing clients, and you know, whether it's for spiritual, emotional, whatever. That's really how it works.
That is amazing.
You can get some real amazing results.
You can, and that's why I do the work I do. I want to help people be happy and find out they can choose to be happy. And no matter what's happening to you, you can, if you want to, change your perspective and be happy. It may not be easy, you know, if you're like being tortured. That's when it'd be really challenging, I think. But, you know, say like I'm something I don't like is the mall, public mall. Like if there's a lot of people there, I could change my perspective and say, I love the mall. I will fight that if I keep telling myself I love the mall. So I have to find a way to make it acceptable to myself, you know? And
I'm really good at that too.
Like, yeah, I'll just try different angles and stuff with, you know, the thoughts can really, you know, like you guys know the tarot. The tarot says the swords are the thoughts in the air, and thoughts are bad in tarot. But I don't think so. I think the thoughts kind of can get us, if we use the Ace of Swords, not incorrectly, we can like cut through any obstacles and restructure our thoughts with our thoughts. So, you know, and behaviors and stuff.
We know thoughts are things, they're real, and they're focused.
They come to life.
They're focused energy is what they are.
Yes, intention.
And all the cards do is allow your mind to focus. And then it, you know, will basically send out a message for whatever it is that you desire. So, you know, one of the, you know, getting back to some of these things that we do, I'm a master hypnotherapist as well. And
so wow, I love that.
And regressionist.
Yes.
Misty loves that. Yeah.
So one of the number one thing that I get people, even here in the Bible Belt, that I get is they want to have a past life regression. And
yes, that's a big thing right now.
Yeah, it is huge, and everybody wants to know who they were. And
have you done that too, Tom? Do you do past life?
I've done it, but I don't do it for others. I have enough trouble figuring out my own life. You kidding me?
Sounds like you've been crazy and wild all those many lives ago.
Tommy's on the leading edge of very, very important energetic stuff, not energetic medicine, so to speak. And he's, you know, a licensed clinician. And so he uses equipment where other people who do psychic mediumship use their mind to do it. He can do that, but he uses equipment to help pick up stuff in the energy field. So very science oriented. So
That's rad.
some of the
Awesome.
stuff
Yeah,
that
that's right up your
psychics
alley,
all talk
Misty.
about, he puts it into a quantifiable thing. You can tell them about it, Tom.
I would love to hear about that.
Yes.
Because that way the people will accept it better.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's a science box. It could be a black box with 3 lights on it, and they'll go, cool.
I gotcha. That's so great. I love it.
Truly,
I love that.
We have tools to measure the biofield, energy, measure the chakras, the size, the placement. In
Oh,
minutes.
Where are you? Where are you guys?
I'm in
I want to go. I want to get that done.
Illinois.
Illinois?
Yeah, I'm in Southern Illinois and he's in Massachusetts, near Boston.
Okay, you're in Massachusetts. Okay. Yeah. I have family in Philly. I might drive up there sometime and skip on over to Massachusetts. Are you in Boston by chance?
About 15, 20 miles northwest.
Well, my boyfriend's been dying to go to Boston and see the ballpark there for his whole life. So is it Fenway? Is it Fenway Park that's up there? We're going to be up there probably in the next year to see Fenway Park, hopefully in the next year or two. So I'll
Sure,
look
you
you up.
sign up for the tour of the wall, the Green Monster.
The what?
Sign up for the tour of the Green Monster. It's the wall in the outfield.
Oh, I didn't know that. See, he would know that. He would be like, oh, I'm learning. I'm learning sports. That's really cool, Tom. I bet that works amazingly well. So how do they react when they feel like they're healed by this? And they are healed by themselves, I guess, and you helping.
Most people initially go, that couldn't have just happened.
Yeah.
First reaction, even though they sense the change, they think they were distracted, or it's, hocus pocus, or it's going to be back in 12 minutes, that kind of thing.
Placebo, yeah.
So I make everyone call me within 3 days and tell me where they're at. And it's always interesting. Yeah, it's still gone, but I know that you just distracted me. Okay, that's good.
Yes.
Oh, I did that in the last 3 days, but that's okay. And
However you did it.
I'm finding more people, because I predominantly work with first responders and military folks. More of them are open to this whole idea of the metaphysical world now.
Military, especially
Oh,
when I'm professionally reading on phone lines, military call all the time.
I love it. Military people really need that kind of help. They
Yeah.
really do. And that's amazing that you're doing it.
Yeah, they're opening up to this stuff. So that's great that they don't
It
have
is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Maybe, my hope is we'll never have soldiers anywhere on Earth because we won't need them. But maybe that's a little far-reaching in this generation or time period. But it would be nice to be in Star Trek. I don't know if either of you watch Star Trek, but I think if we ever had a replicator created, then we would have world peace. I do believe it. If everybody had a replicator, nobody would be fighting over anything. You can make whatever you want, and everybody fights over objects and money.
Well,
or power, I guess.
3D printing's not too far off.
I've got a 3D printer and it's pretty bad, but I mean, in a good way. But I don't know what, like, use filament and it's like old plastic. I think you can get other kinds of stuff to use on a 3D printer. But like the replicator in Star Trek, if you haven't seen it, listeners or you guys, you have?
Of course.
No, you know the replicator. So listeners, watchers, if you've never seen Star Trek, they have a replicator. It's like on the wall in the ship. Every room has one, and everywhere has one. And you go up to this little window in this machine with a black box with some buttons, basically. And you say, computer, tea, Earl Grey, hot. And it appears in this little place. And so if everybody had one of those, we'd never be hungry. We'd never want anything. If it didn't cost anything, I think they did it in Star Trek with the technology they did to beam people. I don't think it had like feed, like filament. We haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, just look like a microwave. So yep.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
It did look like a microwave.
Yeah.
They replicate double stuffed Oreos. I'm not impressed.
Oh, man, we can make them triple stuffed if we want.
There you go. So when you guys have done your podcast, is there certain guests that have come up that have been pretty fascinating?
Yeah. The last one we had, you guys would love the last one we had, Dr. Bill, especially you, Tom, because what you do, you should get in touch with him, Tom, if you have a chance. I can send you his info. But he's a medical professional and a molecular biologist, but he has figured out how to, and it works, to do these healing techniques where he walks you through. And, if you have the machines to show what's happening, maybe you two could get together and work on that. I mean, he's afraid that when he's about to retire and he's afraid when he dies, this will go away. This knowledge will go away. So he's trying to give it. I don't know how he found me. I didn't ask him, but, you know, if you guys want to interview him, you would love it. His technique is the most amazing healing technique I've had. Reiki is really good too, but it's kind of more to shift the energies, to position them correctly and align the chakras and the emotions and stuff. But what he does is really, you just have to experience it. Can you put it into words? I don't know, Misty, maybe you didn't have as intense of a healing as I've continued to be able to do it.
I totally believe what he did. And it's something that I had already kind of believed before we started it, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It still works
totally
for me, Misty. I can still stop all the pain with what he taught me.
Well, that's a great technique to learn. My favorite guest, I think, is Courtney's one of my favorites.
Oh, Courtney, she's brilliant.
And she did a reading for me, guys, and kind of like past life regression, kind of in a way. It's hard to describe how she did the reading, but she was spot on, and she was able to help me in so many ways that other people couldn't. And she was like, she had so much good knowledge. I love her. She's just.
I do too.
Awesome.
I do too. She accesses Akashic records. That's how she mainly works. And she's probably about your age, Misty, a few years younger than me. And she's in Georgia, I think, or below Chattanooga in Georgia. And she always has so much to say. We've had a few podcasts with her. Yeah, she has a lot of knowledge. Yeah, and she's funny.
She likes to heal people. That's her thing. And that's my thing. So that's why I really like her.
And we had a molecular biologist on, Dr. Maureen Hughes, but she's kind of refocused a lot of her work on Somaveda, which is a Thai system of healing, energetic stuff. And so, she's like a instructor on that.
Yeah, like energetic healing. Yeah.
It's her background as a molecular biologist. So
what Dr. Bill had said that was interesting, you might relate to this, Tom, as someone who's knows medicine and the body. What Dr. Bill had kind of said is that I implied this, and I think I asked him and he said yes or something, I don't know, but because he knows the body, when he does the healing, he can actually feel the organ. I can do that too, feel all the organs. I don't know what they are though, and what goes to what. He knows what their scientific names are, and he can go like, your large colon is this and this, and your C4 is and so when he did mine, he could tell me everything that was wrong. And it was because this is stuff that's been wrong that the doctors have told me. And he's like, there's even more going on, but I don't feel pain when I do his technique. So, I mean, you'd love to learn that kind of stuff. And you probably already know that kind of stuff, Tom. I don't know if you worked with anyone on it,
That stuff I do because I've been a paramedic for over 30 years. So I've got
that. He knows. Yeah.
That's
cool. The stuff I'm working on is the energy field. So I'm trying to catch it before it becomes a physical manifestation.
There you go. There you go. He is in a perfect field, I'm telling you.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's always in a 3-layered system. It's in the spiritual, then it goes into the emotional field. If it stays in the emotional field long enough, then it becomes a physical issue. So by the time you see a physical issue, there's been years typically before we get there. So,
what would the back be? Well, I have hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It's a chromosome disorder. How would that be? How would you perceive that as in the metaphysics? How would that be? And it's just the pain. And when I was younger, it mainly manifested as psychiatric problems.
And
now it's pain. I had bone spurs growing all over my scalp.
Is in your thoracic spine?
It's all over my spine. I have bone spurs growing all over my spine. That's the scoliosis is my thoracic, but the neck is just a mess, and my lower back and hips are just a mess. I mean, because of the bone spurs growing, and I have disc degeneration too. That could be saying I need a backbone, need to stand up for myself. But the spurs, I don't understand. As far as or it being a chromosome disorder, how would that be? What I'm saying, like the genetic disorder, how does that fit metaphysically into a life? I'm trying to figure that out.
Do you want to go, Tom, or you want me to go?
I think it's both, because you have, usually if it's the spine, it's going to be strength and structure. And so stability, all those things.
I never have stability. I have a lot of inner strength, but I structure my life my own way. But that's because I work from home. I don't do it like everybody else, But the backbone thing for me, I've never stood up for myself until the last few years. So that resonates with me, but my back just hurt more. That's why I was angry, and I could take it out on people, and picking at me, I could stand up better because I was in pain, and it encouraged me to, not hold it all in, because I don't like to complain about the pain all the time, because it's just, who wants to listen to that? And so it kind of, having the pain encouraged me, or not encouraged me, but gave me more of an ability to stand up for myself, because I was in so much pain. I wasn't self-conscious or worried about hurting their feelings. Although every single time I've had to make my boundaries, it's hard, people don't like it. And I feel real bad afterwards,
Did not feel
my
bad.
back hurts worse the more I stand up for myself. And then this Dr. Bill came along, and now it doesn't hurt. That's kind of cool.
Well, the burrs are just irritation with different things in life, particularly related to your, well, if you want to call it standing up for yourself, but shouldering a lot of additional responsibilities for your family too. Typically for females, the pain area that's most predominant is going to be basically right where the bra strap goes across, right through that area.
Mm.
I have a scoliosis right there. Yeah.
So if they're shouldering a lot of extra work that should have been spread out to other people, or they feel like they are doing that, a lot of times you'll see those kind of results.
No, my parents don't let me do anything for them. Right now, they're letting me help them. My dad broke his neck in 4 places a month ago, and he lived, and he's walking with a walker, and he went through physical rehab and stuff. But that's the only time I would always ask him, can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do that? No. But now they're finally letting me help. I try to help, but I'm kind of the black sheep of the family. They all have money. They all have established careers, and, they have a lot of money. Everyone in both sides of my family are very successful. And I'm not. And well, as far as money goes, as what they consider success sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
well, of course, lower back is already.
they don't need my help, because what can I do? From their point of view, I can't really help. So
Lower back, especially in males, is related to oftentimes financial stability and just feeling like you're being supported. And so it can go both ways, though. It doesn't matter if you're male or female; it can go both ways.
Yeah.
If that's the issue. And
it is. My whole back, and I have bone spurs everywhere on my skeleton, though. Everywhere. I don't get annoyed by much stuff, but I don't suppress it either. I don't know if it's so much the little things in life. It kind of feels like I'm building a new structure of security, but it's not a very good one. It's not necessarily going to support me. It's just kind of filling space for what I wasn't able to do earlier in life, maybe. But I don't understand if it's a chromosome disorder. I was born with it. Am I born with this karma?
well, your chromosomes, are determined before you come into life, because you're going to you're trying to learn something while you're here. So if this provides you with some learning opportunities that you otherwise wouldn't have, then it's
Patience.
And medicine. I learned a lot about health because of all the health problems I've had with EDS. You have every health problem, and I've learned how to fix a lot of them with essential oils and tea because I'm not a doctor. I can't prescribe myself stuff. My doctors don't help me. So
some of the people I work with, their specialty is genetics, and so you may have come in with a chromosome issue, but it doesn't mean it had to manifest, because there's epigenetics right above the gene, so to speak. So
I don't know what that means. Epigenetics.
So the genetics is the chromosome dispositions. So you have a gene that says, I'm going to give you ailment X.
Oh, no, this happens. This happens no matter what. EDS, both parents have to have it, or it can just generally mutate. It's on the chromosome disorder. It's not a genetic mutation. So as far as I understand, it's like different. It's like the chromosome is structured differently, as what I was explained. But like I said, I haven't seen a specialist because they won't let me see a specialist with my insurance until I get tested genetically, and they just keep pushing it back, and I haven't had to get, so, it's medicine. And where I live, there aren't specialists. So I have to go a few hours away. So,
So on your show, what is your primary focus? What are you guys trying to get across to people?
That we're all psychic.
Well, yeah, I got the title part.
That's it. That's all we want to do. And just educate people. We love to teach people about the topics. Okay. And we love to get the listeners to, Misty often gives them homework, and we get the guests to tell, teach basically most of the time, or just tell their experiences. We really want to reach the people who are younger or our age or older, anywhere, but they haven't really delved into this stuff yet, the metaphysical life or the metaphysical ways, or they just want to know about how to do it themselves, or they don't know and they want to learn more. So that's who our audience is. So we try to really teach and show stuff to. And usually our guests are people who either are learning this stuff or, professionals in the field or teach it. Yeah.
Right. I got it. Well, is there books that you recommend to people?
Yes.
Yeah, recommend our book.
It's a Journey of Souls, Life
Yes.
Between Lives by Michael Newton. You guys have PhD. Yeah, you guys have probably heard that. That's the one we love to recommend. So
Yeah,
That's the one that started it all.
that's my number one book that I recommend. I think it kind of pops your bubble
Yes.
if you've been in the classic, I'll call it religious bubble.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Think outside the box. The Journey of Souls. Yeah, I really believe that's the way to go. Another one I use sometimes for people who are running into things that go bump in the night is one called The Veil. It's a short little book. I'd call it a 2-evening book. And it's done by Blake Healy. He's a minister, but he's been able to see angels and demons since he was 3.
Oh, wow.
Which is cool. But he takes the scary out of it for people so they kind of understand what it's all about.
That's
And
cool.
those are both really nice books. Another one I like is Becoming Masters of the Light, Darren Owens. And that's really got some good data in it. He does a great job putting that book together.
Who's the author?
Darren Owens.
Okay.
And
What was the name of that second book you said?
The Veil.
The Veil. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's Blake Healy. And last I knew about him, he was living in Georgia with, wife, kids, that kind of stuff. So anyway, but those are some good starter books for people if they really want to get into the metaphysics. And once they get done with those, I typically say, okay, you get done with that, call me, we'll talk. And then we'll decide which way you want to go after that.
Yeah, and you can
There's-
figure what they learn and how they learn.
There's so many branches off in the metaphysical field that you can specialize in.
Yeah.
If you want to specialize in psychic things, you can. If you want to specialize in Reiki, and I always say a Reiki 1 class, because I'm a Reiki master too, a Reiki 1 class is a really good introduction to energy.
Energy healing. Yeah, I took
I
Reiki
think
1 and
that's
2.
a
Loved it.
terrific way to get started if you're interested in that whole concept of the totality of energy, and you have access to it and you can move it. Because really, in my estimation, what you're doing is you're doing a photonic transfer. So you're taking a high vibratory state over a low vibratory state, the low vibratory state being illness or injury. And when you put the high vibration on the low vibration, it overcomes the low vibration, thus the healing. And so it's really everything comes down to vibration, frequency, perhaps, in conjunction with the vibration. So which
Yeah.
goes hand in hand. So that's if you don't get those basic concepts down, and I do tell people this because I'm a medic too, and taught lots of EMT classes for years and years and years. But what we're doing now for people in the hospitals will look barbaric in 30 years from now.
I agree.
Because the light therapies, the sound therapies, et cetera, are going to overtake what's currently going on. I'm not saying you're still not going to have orthopedic surgeons if you've been on a, you've been in a car crash and your knee needs replaced or something. You're still going to have that. But for typical illnesses, I think there's going to be so many alternative paths. And the biggest fear,
I hope you're right.
No, he's right. You've seen it too, Lisa.
Well, that's right. Morgana told me about the sound
Morgana
beds.
told you.
Yeah, about the sound beds. Yeah.
and for people in our line of work, so to speak, the biggest fear is that the AMA will come in and assume it, take it over, and knock everybody else out of doing it. So
People can do it in their own houses though because of podcasts.
Yes.
They could.
Some things.
But I'm just saying, it's really where the juncture of medicine and religion come together. So
Yes.
fortunately,
I hate that they're separated.
well, in the old days they weren't. You had
I
law,
know.
you had medicine, and you had religion all in one person.
Yeah.
It's typically a prophet or whatever the case may be, or rabbis or whatever. They would teach you how to take care of yourself, be givers of the law, and also, deal with your spirituality and so forth. So,
Yeah.
But we broke it into 3 different categories for more focus for each one of them. But they're starting to come together. There's no question about that.
Yeah, I think so. There's so many people wanting it, needing it. Because healthcare is ridiculously expensive now with the insurances and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I should
There
have
needs to be
put
another
out
way
some.
out.
Yeah.
Should have brought some of my things that I get. Some of these illuminations is what I call them. But one of them said, and I'm paraphrasing because it was a little longer than this, but it said, soon the anchor of Rome will be lifted and the spirit will fill your sails and freedom and understanding will follow. So when they say the anchor of Rome, what are you talking about? Were you talking about the church? That's
Yeah.
the anchor of Rome.
Yeah.
And so that will be lifted. And in other words, you know,
Let's set sail.
yeah, and sail's holy wind, Holy Spirit type sail, energetics. You know, you're going to move forward because really, when you go into a standard church setting, I'm just generalizing here. There are exceptions to all this, but you go, what you get when you're 8 years old, you get when you're 18, you get when you're 38, and you get when you're 88. So it's the same story, same things. It's almost like they don't think we're smart enough to get it the first time. So it's I get the people that come in and go, I know there's more than this, Terry. There's way more than this. Where do I go to go from third grade to fifth to seventh and eventually college and actually ascend myself? And I said, well, you're not going to get it in church because it's not been set up that way.
Not
You
in
need to
these
go and
churches. Yeah.
explore
Yeah.
yourself, like what you ladies are doing. You're exploring yourself, and when you do that, that's part of your process of illumination and advancement. Because there is, in the olden days, all this stuff had to be handed down by verbal, repetitive memory. Then
Yeah.
eventually we started having language, and we would scroll it, but only educated people could read the scroll to you. And then eventually it got to the point where it was written in like Latin, and only the priests knew Latin, and they would spew forward what they wanted to spew forward. And then you know, we got to a printing press, and a printing press where you could print Bibles or whatnot, and people could read it themselves. But you know, it was a capital offense to have a Bible written in English in England at one point, and you would be killed for it. But
Gosh.
now you actually have, beyond the printing press and beyond the clergy, with the internet, you can actually go read the Dead Sea Scrolls yourself.
In your room.
In your room, in the safety and privacy
In
of
your
home.
car.
You can read it, and you can gather what the data says. And the translations, you'll see where the mistakes were made, you'll see where they're correct, blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, we're at that point now where you're going to be able to take it yourself. But if you don't take the trip yourself, you're still going to remain in third grade. And maybe that's okay for this lifetime. But maybe the next lifetime you'll get it start to go up. And then the next time you go a little further, that's how it works. And it's okay to not get it this lifetime. There are people that do get it.
Yeah,
And
it's all about learning, I think.
Truly.
We're all here to learn lessons, I think. And, you know, and whether we learn the lesson that we were supposed to learn and we get to move to the next level. And if we don't, then we have to repeat it, you know, until you get it right, you know, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
We did a podcast on radionics. And I don't know if you're familiar with radionics, but we had Marty Lucas come in. He's from Iowa. And he did a podcast about radionics, and it's basically how to use the energies to, he does it on crops, agriculture. So he'll broadcast like a Hawaiian prayer over, you know, the cornfield or whatever, and you're getting much, much higher production because that energy, sound, vibration increases. And you can take that same stuff and he'll do it for people and so forth as well. That is a fascinating show, is all about radionics. And I would say, you know, and in fact, you know, if you don't know what it is, I tell people, look at the podcast, because, you know, I asked him, I met him at a conference, and in a radionics conference, and I'm like, holy crap, dude, what is this? You know? And so while I was there, it was in the Chicagoland area. There was a couple of guys, I called them mad scientists. They were behind me. I had a whole group lined up to see me, you know, going down the hallway and all that. But these guys behind me, I wanted to see, they had this whole thing. It looked like it was on a train track, you know, like a kid's train thing. And it had all these, you know, copper pipes and wires and all kinds of things and little batteries all hooked up. And I told them on Friday, I said, hey, I want to do that. What do you need from me? He said, oh, we just need a little clip of your fingernail. I said, okay. So I clipped a little fingernail and gave it to him. And then I got busy and I couldn't do it all day Friday. And then Saturday they were lined up going out the door and I couldn't do it then. And so Sunday I went in early, it was the last day. And I said, guys, I want to do this thing, you know? And they said, okay, yeah. And then all of a sudden I started getting people, and I said, finally I told folks, hey, I gotta do this. So I just turned back around where these guys are at. And I said, so what do we do? He goes, oh, we already did it. I said, well, what did you do? They said, well, we measured you. I said, well, what did you measure? And they said, your chi, your light. And I said, okay. And he goes, you want to know what happened? I said, sure. And so he held up a ruler, a little 12-inch ruler, and had all kinds of scientific numbers on it. He goes, just disregard the numbers. But here's the light energy for the average person. It's like 65% for a male, 65% up to the top of that. I said, okay, good. And he goes, you want to know what yours was? I said, sure. And he says, so you blew off that one. We got another one. You blew off that one. We got another one. You blew off that one. And we got another one that went up 2/3. And I said,
bam, bam.
Oh, yes, okay. What does that mean? And his
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
His exact scientific words was, F, I don't know.
He's
That's
testing
funny.
you. He's testing on you.
It was funny. And I was like, and he goes, I go, what do you think it means? He goes, I think it means you can do whatever you want. And other people were standing by me and they started coming over and
Like touching you? Are you real?
like this. And I kind of felt like a monkey in a zoo. It was kind of funny. And Tommy's laughing because he actually measured me too. And the same kind of thing happened. He goes, you should actually be dead. And so, but
So you may be an enlightened being who chose to stay here and educate.
I could be a lot of things, but I am a Packers fan. I like beer and I do eat potato chips on occasion.
Those are not sins.
No, that's how you live in this life, you know? Some people incarnate just six. I tell people, some of the masters incarnate strictly for sex and chocolate. So
Chocolate, beer. Gosh.
So it's fun stuff, and I think people need to know that they are made of light. You know, their soul is in there, and you can see it in their aura. Because when I teach people how to read auras, you know, we want them to understand that's light coming out of you. And when you get in a meditative state, as you all know, you can massively increase the amount of photonic action going on within your body. And that allows you to do some pretty spectacular things if you know how to address it properly.
Right.
And a lot of people just don't know how to meditate. And as a meditation instructor, it's so simple. You don't have to sit in some yoga.
It doesn't have to be a certain
do all
way.
this. No, you can lay down and you can get in any position you want. Just got to calm your mind and let your mind slip out of your body. And
Like for some people, they jog, and while they're jogging, they'll get in that zone, you know. And,
100%.
and some people play in music, and they'll just get in that zone. You know, it can be anything that just puts
It's kind
you
of a
in
form of
space.
hypnosis in a way. It's like when you drive home in your car and all of a sudden you pull in your driveway and you don't remember.
Yeah.
You know,
How did I get here?
that's the form of hypnosis.
Yeah.
And if you can get your mind into that state and let it drift, and that's why so many people, when they're in their car, they go, oh, you know, they calm down for a little bit and they go, I need to make this phone call and this phone call and this phone call, you know, and they do a lot of their work while they're in the car because your frontal mind's preoccupied with driving, you know, your conscious mind. So the subconscious mind is kind of keep kicking in. And that's why it's all of a sudden, oh yeah, I need to do this, this, and this, you know, and that's cool.
Yeah, it is.
Just don't crash your car.
Pay attention to what you're doing.
Exactly.
Or another car with your psychic energy.
Exactly. That's how it works. So do you guys you want to try to do a little reading? You want to try to read?
Yeah, I have to get some
read?
cards. I mean, I can do a medium reading, but I don't have my cards with me.
Whatever you want to do, whatever strikes your fancy.
I'd rather I have my phone. I can use my tarot app. I mean,
Okay,
it works
do
just
your
as
thing.
well.
Let's see what happens. So people get a chance to see what you guys do.
Okay,
I'm
why
gonna
don't I get my
grab
cards
my
then? I'll be
card.
I'm
Sure,
gonna
absolutely.
go get my cards. I'll be right
I'm
back.
gonna get mine. I got a new deck.
Hmm.
I'm anxious.
Who's the female that stands behind you?
Who, me?
Yeah.
What does she look like?
Well, she's a little older, and the hair's up, and she steps back a bit. She's not right on you, so I don't know. I've just been.
Is she an older woman or younger? woman?
Yes, an older woman. Mm-hmm.
Probably my grandmother.
Okay.
Short
Well, then.
curly hair. or
Yes, that's right. That's
brown.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
She's like my guardian angel, I think. She's
Okay.
always around me.
All right.
What I
'Cause
can-
yeah, I've been noticing. So just thought
Yeah.
I'd ask while we were waiting.
She's amazing. I love her.
She's digging what you're doing. I can tell you that.
Oh, she does. She loves it.
Absolutely.
And I love her.
You betcha.
She's awesome.
Well, I got my cards. I made this deck. It's
Okay, well, go ahead and do
this
your
is-
thing.
Kitty Quest Tarot. I made this with digital art of my cats that I've had. And
Okay, so that's available,
yeah. I
right?
have
You
it.
saw
It's on
that?
our website for sale and
Okay.
Etsy. Yeah.
Perfect.
So who wants a reading? Which one do you want to be a guinea pig for me? And Misty, who do you want to read? Which one do you want a reading for
I'll
me?
read
And
Tom.
you read Tom and I'll read
Yeah.
Terry. Okay.
Okay, there you go.
You're
You want to
reading-
go first, Misty? Or do you want me to go first?
Yeah, but when you're reading him, those cards are going to fly through the air.
They always do.
Maybe they already are.
Yeah, they just did. Misty, you want to go first or you want me to go?
Sure, I'll go.
Yeah.
Let me get some vibes from Tom.
You read me as 52 pickup.
Yeah, my favorite game.
78 pickup.
Yeah. You're a free spirit, Tom. Yes, you are.
Well, that's good because I've been called a lot of things lately, so that's better.
No,
Nice one.
you're a very big free spirit. You can only change yourself, but now is the time to unleash your free spirit, not to try to blend in and be the same as everyone else. So I would suggest right now, forget what everybody else is doing around you and concentrate on what you need to be doing yourself. And that's going to help you right now more than anything. Let's see what else we got. Okay, and I also get the angel card, which is one of my favorites because I love angels. And the angel card really pretty much means soon you will encounter a person or events that will benefit you in ways that seem to have angelic origins. You may be called an angel. So maybe when you are working with someone next, you're going to have a lot of angels around you helping you. And, they might think of you as an angel too, because of what you're going to be able to do to heal them.
Cool.
And that might be coming up in your future too, pretty soon. And then it says, I get the Sage card. And that says, look at your situation with mature, experienced viewpoints of a wise person. Examine assumptions about the aging process and mastery. Does that mean anything to you?
Means I'm getting older. I better pay attention.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, we all are, but you seem like a very mature person. So, I'm sure you have a viewpoint of a wise person too, as the card says. So that's going to help you too with this person that you're helping with the angels. You're going to be able to look at a very wise perspective of it instead of like a child's perspective of it. You've got the wise, intuition going on right now. So I think that pretty much sums it up is, that's what you need to be doing. You need to really look for your own thing going on, not worry about others. Be a free spirit like you are and call those angels in to help you whenever that you need that help. And you're going to be helping someone that really needs it soon. And they're really going to think a lot of you. Not that anybody doesn't already, but this person really is you're going to make a very high impact on this person.
Okay, very cool.
All right.
Awesome, Misty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Terry, you ready? I'm gonna try to just pull some cards. I just do a basic general. Do you have anything you want to ask, or do you just want a general?
No, I'm good. Whatever
Okay.
you get, it's fine with me.
He's been asking everyone if his hair will ever grow back. I don't know if that's.
I know how to grow your hair back. I know how to grow your hair back. If you
My
believe
hair-
me,
my
I will
hair is-
give you the
there's-
recipe.
It doesn't show
Yeah.
too good in here, but there's actually hair here, but I'm real lightheaded. So
Okay, so this is about okay, so this reading is kind of talking about how it's about your work. It's saying what's up with you. You're really lucky in work and you really love your work and you're trying to make a decision in work right now. it's about doing something to really give hope to a lot of people. That's kind of what you're supposed to be doing. Or it's to continue kind of unpredictably going through your life and at high speeds. And you can't really decide what you're going to do. And the advice here is not to doubt what you already are driving towards. So it's saying it's about the Five of Cups reversed with the Priestess reversed with the Nine of Wands reversed with Justice. So what I get from that is you have gotten to a point to where you do hear your intuition, but there was a long time where it was very quiet. And you really couldn't have a chance to make a decision about your work because of that. And I feel like you put your guard down. And I think you talked about this before the podcast to the woman who helped you out. And that brought about being more in touch with your intuition. And it's saying that if you acknowledge the doubts that you have about your willpower, and my guides are kind of coming through saying sometimes you wonder if what you're doing is good or not, is for the better good or not. And they're just saying, and the cards are saying, just keep sticking involved with what you most love doing. And it says you're going to be dealing with some ignorant people soon coming up, and stay involved despite of them. Yes. So coming forward, we have new friends, and I feel like there's a third person coming to your, I think there's a third person coming to work with you too. And they're wanting this. We've got them. You might not know them because we got them spying on you, and they really want to connect. So I think there's someone who wants to work with both of you on something. It might not be this podcast. Is it the podcast? It's something totally different. I get the 10 of Cups reversed for a no. If it's the podcast, and I get the Death card. So they want to work with you on something different. Mm-hmm. And I get Princess of Pentacles. I feel like this is usually a female in my deck, but it can be a male. I feel like this would be one of your sons, or possibly a student who has ideas, and they're very smart and logical. And I feel like they will come to you through someone you work with, and they're already spying on you because they know of you through someone one of you works with in another format. But is it about the magic? Yes, it's about, he's an empathy advisor, this guy. And I think this is that Princess of Pentacles and Knight of Pentacles. I think this is how you find out that person, through this guy. So this is someone you know from work. He's a cat, Siamese cat. Yes, and he drinks a lot. He's a king. No, he's a very sweet and sensitive, good businessman. Really knows how to make money. Really knows how, and he knows how to tell you like what you need to hear the right way without making you feel bad. So this person is really eloquent. So I feel like that guy's coming along for you guys. I don't know what he's going to want to do with you guys yet, though. I'm still not getting an answer on that. And it's just telling me how long he's wanted to present this to you. And that's all it's telling me. Okay. So how will you react? You like it. I get the 8 of Swords reversed. And that's like, oh, I've been looking to solve this problem, and I've been stuck in my head about it. And this person helps you solve a problem. And it has to do with like kind of melancholy, not making this decision about your work. So maybe he'll help you, give you the direction you need for your work. I kind of feel like that's what it's about. And just like there's some ignorance coming up, just goes through it. That's what I'm getting. And then you get the 4 of Wands. So that's just the celebrations card. And I feel like that's around the time you meet this guy who may want to do something with you guys. So if you have like a wedding coming up or any other kind of events coming up, that's usually the timing for that, with the 4 of Wands. So there you go. I hope that helps out.
Okay. Thank you so much. That was awesome.
You're welcome.
Well, guys, this is cool. We're at our end of our time, so we probably ought to kind of wrap up. And I just ask you girls, if there's anything you want to kind of leave the audience with.
Misty?
Well, I can provide some homework. I sure can. I think that we all have learned, that today we really need to listen to our inner voices and make decisions using our inner voices as well, and quit listening to those outside voices. And so I think that we should all try to keep that in mind as we go through our day, as we go through our week, as we go through our life. And just remember that, we're not alone. We have lots of angels and God's helping us along the way to make the right decisions as we go. Lisa, what do you think?
Beautiful. Listeners and watchers, I would say do something nice for yourself today. Nice. Doesn't have to cost money. Just enjoy yourself and love yourself on yourself and
Love yourself.
do whatever makes you feel good. You don't have to spend money, but if it makes you feel good to spend money, do it. That's my advice. And if you guys have any advice for our listeners, we'd love to hear it.
Tommy?
Yeah, I would just think with the psychic stuff, everyone has that ability, but don't let it be clouded by your wants over your needs.
Yes.
Good advice.
Yes.
A lot of people that turn to the psychic world to try to solidify their point of view, and maybe that wasn't the right point of view to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes clouded.
Interesting. That's good. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that.
I do too.
Cool.
Well, I'll just leave the listeners with this. If you want to get involved with psychic stuff, the girls here will be happy to help you out with their website and so forth. And there is lots of books, but, journey begins with the first step. If you sit and do nothing, nothing's going to happen. You
Yes.
just keep moving
Mhm.
forward. And if you
Even
take
if
a
it's in
step-
here, even if it's a step in here, even 2 steps back, eventually you'll not take
Absolutely.
any steps back.
Absolutely
Yes.
true. So step
Love that.
forward, keep moving. Nothing's going to harm you. You're highly protected. And
Yes.
if you're not, give me a call.
Yeah, he's a
He will
Ghostbuster.
hook you up.
We will hook you up and then make it
Mm-hmm.
all good. So I will say, at least on behalf of our side of this podcast, the Metaphysical Mysteries, thank you all for being here. And we'll be back next month with another exciting guest or two. And I'll turn it over to Lisa and Misty, whatever you want to say to finish this out.
All right. Well, Terry and Tom, I'd like to say thank you so much. And Misty, as always, thank you.
Thank
And I'd
you.
like to thank our sponsor, Everclear. Everclear is an advice app where you can get advice from psychics and empaths so you can get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. And lastly, I want to thank the listeners. We love you.
Mwah.
Goodbye. Peace out.
Bye.
See you later.